Now I know there's going to be a lot of requests for Block Story. I can't blame the people asking for it because it was the main core of this channel since I started it. The truth is, I haven't been motivated to play Block Story for a very long time. Currently, there hasn't been active development on the game in over a year. There's only one developer left on the game, and he has been doing side projects in the meantime. It's amazing how plans can change so fast. It's crazy to look back just a few months ago and see that I was planning on coming back to make Let's Play videos and stream other sandbox games. Hey guys, it's Xcel and welcome to a video where I talk about the events leading up to becoming a developer for Block Story and talking a little bit about the plan ahead, so you guys can know what to expect from this channel and the game going forward. Anyways, shortly after making that video, Headhunter approached me stating that he wanted to bring the game back and finally decided to recruit me as a developer where I could consider it to be a job, in more of a startup business type of way. After all, the game was removed from Google Play and the App Store, and all of the in-app purchases were turned off, so the two of us were doing this with little to no profit at all. We did this all for the love of the game. So it's official now. After several years in the making, I am now a developer for Block Story. There may have been some misconception with this because about 5 years ago I did make a video that was titled that I did join the dev team. However, I was never really coding the game. I was just a playtester and making trailers for the game. I mean, calling myself a developer back then would be like me saying I worked for Blizzard for 7 years when all I really did was work as a playtester and browse Reddit all day. This plan was originally made about 4 or 5 years ago. Headhunter wanted to recruit me after the development of the space update when work would begin on the next big update. However, after releasing the space update, customization update, and electricity update, development stopped, and I just assumed that he was done with the game and had moved on to something else. After all, I wasn't hearing from him for months at a time, so one could only assume that the game was done receiving updates. I mean, I get it. People get tired of working on the same thing after a couple years, and this game had been receiving support for over a decade at this point. But shortly after making that announcement that I had returned, he wanted to get back into development as well and presented me with a deal. You see, Block Story was removed from Google Play because of regional issues. There used to be 2 developers for the game. One hosted the game from his home location in Texas, but when he left, that just left Headhunter to run and host the game by himself. Now this wasn't necessarily an issue, but he lived in Russia. And I'm not going to get into it, but as you know, there is some stuff happening over there, and Google and many other platforms decided that they didn't want anyone over there to be publishing apps or making money off of their platforms. So that's when the deal came to my plate. Headhunter wanted to revive the game, but he couldn't do it himself. So he asked me if I was interested in helping him out. Basically, he would transfer the game over to me so that I could host it from my location and we wouldn't have to worry about regional issues anymore. I asked what was in it for me, and he offered a small percentage of each sale that the game makes. I agreed, but I decided to negotiate some things before going through with this. It was agreed that I file the game as a business with the US government so that I wouldn't get taxed for Headhunter's share on the game, because if that were to happen, that would kill me. And the next thing I did was ask for all the game's code so that I could learn how this project works in Unity while Headhunter continues to work on the Unity update. I will say that as a person who's new to creating startup businesses, and I've never done this before, this was one of the most stressful and difficult things I've ever done in terms of dealing with the government. But after completing it, I can look back and say it actually wasn't that bad now that I understand how to do it. It's just a lot of waiting. This also technically means I'm the legal owner of Block Story. However, you will not see me say that often because it feels like I'm doing a huge disservice to the original creators of this game. They deserve all the credit here. Anyways, in May I created a Google account and Headhunter requested to transfer the apps on that account. This process actually took a week because Google has to manually do the transfer itself. But after doing that, we were able to get the apps back up on Google Play. From there, that's when Headhunter started working on the engine update. and I worked on improving the game's appearance on the game's site, YouTube, and Twitch, which all look very nice now. I'd watched closely to see how he was working on the game, and spent a little bit of time seeing where everything was located in the game's code, and just learning how the whole thing was put together. I still have so much to learn, and it will probably take months or even a year for me to really start understanding how things work. It's not every day you walk into a project that has over 1,000 files of code that have just been receiving support for over a decade, and you need to figure that all out. It's quite a huge task. But in the meantime, with the game back on Google Play and the first update for this game being out after about 2 years, this leads us to where we want to go next. We did rush to get this engine update out just because the majority of new Android users were unable to play this game. This has caused many issues which have been reported in the community. I know plenty of you are wondering why your pet revive timers turned into months-long timers. Oops. Which is why the first step is now to fix some of these issues before adding new content to the game. We want this to be as stable as possible before we start spending weeks or months working on new content. Something else I want to bring up next is iOS support. And I know people aren't even going to watch this video, they're just going to go down to the comments section and question why this game is not on the App Store. And if anyone does this, I'm just going to reply back to you with the timestamp of when I'm saying this. Apple deleted the game because it didn't support the latest version of iOS, and if you didn't know, apps need to be published through a Mac in order to appear on the App Store. There was only one guy who was responsible for this version, and he left a couple years ago. So that leaves just 2 of us that don't own a Mac. Until today, yes, that's right. I finally got a hold of a Mac and plan on bringing the game back to the App Store. However, there are still 2 major problems to address with the iOS version. The first thing is that I never ported a game over to the App Store before and have barely touched a Mac at all. I almost feel like I'm using a computer for the first time when I'm using one of these things. It might take a bit of time here for me to figure out things and actually get the game running up on the App Store. Also, Apple charges a $100 annual subscription to keep apps on their store. And I'm already grieving spending all that money on filing this game as a business and getting it back up on Google Play. So once I spend another $100, I will have sunk just over $200 getting this game back on mobile devices. Hopefully this game can turn a profit because I'm a broke college student. This also leads me to the second and more controversial problem. You see, I did mention that there was only one dev that was responsible for the iOS version in the past. We haven't seen him in about 6 years. He was the only person who had access to the Apple account that ran the games on the App Store. I'm probably going to have to create a new account to bring the games back to the App Store, and my biggest concern is that launching these games on a new account will force everybody to buy the game a second time. I have no idea if this will happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't really have much of a choice. If this does end up happening, I know I'll receive flack for it, but what else am I supposed to do? We've tried reaching out to the original iOS dev for years at this point, and he chooses to ignore us. I guess time will tell, and hopefully iOS users aren't forced to purchase Premium a second time. This leads me onto the near future for this channel. Now that I have access to this game, I'd like to do dev streams for it. If I were to do these, I plan on showing off new content coming to the game. There would be some diamond giveaways for the viewers that show up to it. I would probably host build contests with rewards. I'd show off concepts and get feedback on those features so that I know you're all happy with where development is going. I'd have a Q&A session and so much more. My goal is to not only provide development for this game, but to provide the transparency that this game was missing for many of you. As for standard YouTube uploads, I know many of you want to see me do a new season of Block Story, but to be honest, I just don't think I have the time for it. Keep in mind, I'm still finishing up my software engineering degree and I spend 5 to 8 hours on that a day. So when it comes to videos, I just want to leave those to development updates, trailers, adventure maps, and special announcements. What I might actually consider doing instead of a Season 5 is streaming a playthrough of Block Story. One of the big things I'm trying to work on is balance to the game, And what better way to get feedback by streaming the game to all of you and taking notes on what could be improved. If you have any more video ideas, please let me know down in the comments below. This leads me on to the final point I wanted to address in this video, the plan going forward for this game. I will say that this is probably where Headhunter and I have some differences. Headhunter wants to add in new content. While I do like new content, I also want to fix up the core experience of the game and make it feel more fun to play. I believe this game has plenty of content already, and yes, new content is good and keeps the players coming back. However, I'd like to take a look at some of the core features in the game and make them more fun to play. I strongly believe by doing this, it will get more people to come back to the game and it'll keep people playing longer. We do have a roadmap of things that we'd like to add into the game now that the engine update is complete. I'm not going to reveal anything huge, but I will say that you should expect to see a ton more quality of life features coming to the game and performance improvements to make your experience that much better. And that pretty much wraps up about everything I wanted to address in this video. How are you enjoying the engine update so far? Are you thrilled to see me actually develop this game? Are you excited to see this game undergo a huge revival? What features do you want to see added to this game? Let me know down in the comments section below. Thank you all for watching. Xcel signing off.